Hello and welcome back to another episode of Generation Films. My name is American Ben. Well, Disney Plus approaches. Smile, people, competition is good. And with it comes the long-anticipated series The Mandalorian, which will follow the adventures of a Mandalorian bounty hunter played by Pedro Pascal. And in my opinion, if Disney is smart, it will feature a lot of Bill Burr. Anyway, it is now my job to start educating you all on the history and lore behind Mandalorians, whom are actually still somewhat of a mysterious group in the Star Wars universe. But what we do know, I will try to include in our coverage. Today we are starting a series discussing their ships. In this series we are going to cover every ship they either use or produce. The truth is we have to include the ones they produce because we don't really know all of the ships they use, as they've never gotten enough of a spotlight, and so some ships on this list they might be known for producing but not using, and yet they might actually use them. I don't know what the hell I just said, but I for one hope the Mandalorian series helps us learn more about Mandalorian culture and society and the technology, weapons, and ships used therein. Anyway, today we start with Mandalorian Starfighters. First up is the Aggressor assault fighter. The only thing we really know about this ship from canon is that it was the type of ship used by the droid assassin bounty hunter IG-88, who worked in the service of Darth Vader. However, from Legends we learn that the Aggressor was a high-performance starship produced by Trilon Inc., a company known for producing starship hulls and basic control systems. The Aggressor was fast and maneuverable, and was somewhat of a hybrid starfighter/patrol ship. The starship got its agility from S-foils, movable wings that were mounted port and starboard on the ship. You can see on the front of the ship two mandibles which housed some of the ship's weaponry, such as twin ion and laser cannons, and the mandibles acted as magnetic docking clamps as well. The Trilon-produced ship had some parts from larger companies too, such as a Quat Drive Yard Sol Mark 6 ion engine that gave the Aggressor extremely fast acceleration. So much so that Trilon engineers added safety limiters and inertial dampeners to the ship to prevent pilots from going unconscious during high-speed maneuvers. Such controls could be manually deactivated, but human pilots would have been unlikely to do so. The speed capabilities of the ship made it ideal for droid pilots like IG-88, who further modified the craft to truly push it to its limits, both in speed and defense. As far as Mandalorians go, they used Aggressor assault fighters during the Second Battle of Fondor, perhaps most notably Barton Jusik, a Jedi convert to the Mandalorian ways, was known for using the ship. Next up we have the Alpha 3 Nimbus-class V-Wing Starfighter, a starship produced by Quat Systems Engineering, the starship making subsidiary of Quat Drive Yards, aka Space Honda. The V-Wing was a durable short-range starfighter, perhaps most notable for being deployed by the Galactic Republic during the late Clone Wars. The ship featured folding radiator wings, two ion engines, light twin laser cannons, and an optional concussion missile launcher. Kind of like the seat heater add-on in a Honda Civic. As it lacked a hyperdrive, the ship had to be transported by carriers in order to get to battle zones, and the ship also sacrificed a pressurized cockpit in favor of maximal speed and agility, which meant that pilots of organic makeup had to wear flight suits while aboard. As we hinted at, the V-Wing was a favored ship of the Galactic Republic and later the Galactic Empire, but as legends tell us, they eventually fell into other hands. The Rebel Alliance used them during the Galactic Civil War, and for the purposes of our video, the Mandalorians were seen using them during the Battle of Yavin, and have been known to use them on occasion. Next up is the Bestek, a ship the Mandalorians took much pride in as it was produced by Mandal Motors, a high-class starship producing corporation founded by Mandalorian General Gustav Zenlov. Mandal Motors came to be known for the high-level design and power of their ships. They were the Bugatti of the galaxy far, far away. And part of the reason their ships were so coveted all over the galaxy was that their hulls were often made of Mandalorian iron, or Beskar, an extremely durable iron ore, the forging techniques of which Mandalorian metalsmiths kept secret, passing them very carefully only from generation to generation of metalsmiths, thus making Beskar extremely valuable and of rare strength. Anyway, the Bestek was a starfighter that Mandal Motors produced in time for use by the Mandalorians during the Second Galactic War. It's a little shortchanged to simply tell someone this versatile ship was a starfighter, as one would need to further specify the role it was being used in, as it could be employed in all sorts of roles. With 4 blasters, among other weapons, and stealth technology, the 15-meter-long ship could be used as anything from a bomber to a long-range hunter-killer. And listen, I know what you're thinking. What's meters? I'll be honest, I don't know either. I think it's some made-up European thing. Next up, the Kaber-class starfighter, Kaber coming from the Mandalorian word for protector, was a wedge-shaped twin-engine snub fighter. The ship, another Mandal Motors product, was famous for being used by Fen Shissa during the Nagai Toph War. Fen Shissa was a human Mandalorian who joined the Mandalorian super commando unit known as the Mandalorian Protectors and fought for the Separatist Alliance during the Clone Wars. Under Shissa, Mandalorian Protectors were known to pilot the Kaber-class starfighter. The Davob-type starfighter, Davob coming from the Mandalorian word for carrying carrying out and execution, was a fighter used by Mandalorians, notably during the Mandalorian Wars to protect their capital ships. The ship came in at 8.8 meters long and had asymmetrical wings, one longer bent fin-shaped wing and another shorter one armed with a laser cannon. The bubble canopy within which the operator sat allowed its user full view of his surroundings. The original Mandalorian Crusaders saw the Devab Starfighter as an object of pride, and were known for investing much time and effort into customizing and maintaining their ships, and thus many variations arose. By the time of the Neo-Crusaders, the ship was mass-produced and used throughout the Mandalorian forces, and at this point the ship became more uniform in look. This uniformity upset the older generation of Mandalorians who preferred variation and customization, looking down upon the boring youth who didn't mind all having the same ship. Next up, we have the Fang fighter, also known as the Protectorate fighter. The Fang, produced by Mandal Motors in partnership with Soros Corporation, was another ship used by the Mandalorian Protectors. The ship was designed for combat. It boasted a sleek design and movable S-foil wings that provided vectored thrust control, endowing it with superior speed and agility, and making it an excellent choice for executing head-on charges. The wings also housed the ship's twin forward-mounted laser cannons. The single-pilot Fang also mounted a retractable proton torpedo launcher on its underside. Interstellar-wise, the ship had a Class II hyperdrive and an onboard navigation computer. The ship was originally produced during the Imperial era, and the elite pilots of the Mandalorian Protectors on the planet Concord Dawn preferred to use the Fang. Their use of the ship is how it came to be known as the Protectorate Starfighter. The M3A Psych Fighter, in contrast to the heavy ships we just mentioned, was a light interceptor produced by Mandal Motors. Named for Tatooine's Psych Lizard, this was a ship favored by criminal organizations including the Hutt Cartel, which is true for a lot of Mandal Motors ships. See, at first Mandal Motors, in struggling to grow as a company, wasn't allowed to operate within the Galactic Empire, but eventually was given approval when they installed an Imperial quote-unquote advisor on their board, which I'm sure resulted in many benefits for the Empire in the form of money and product. From there, Mandal Motors began to engage in dealing with illicit groups such as the Hutt Cartel and Zan Consortium. So back to the Psych, a ship that was notable for above all else its weapon mount, which could handle a variety of weapons, whether a laser cannon, ion cannons, concussion missile launcher, or proton torpedo launcher. In other words, the light armament of the Starfighter was made up for by the fact that a pilot could equip the ship with whatever weapon he needed for any given mission. Thus, with the ship, the user got a light, agile craft with offensive capabilities tailored as necessary. The design of the Psych was also the basis for the next ship on this list. The G1 M4C Dune Lizard fighter was developed by the Hutts and produced by Mandal Motors. The ship, named for Tatooine's Dune Lizards, was based on the M3A Psych fighter in that it was agile and quick, but the Dune Lizard had stronger shields and a heavier payload than the ship that inspired it. The ship came standard with double medium laser cannons, but such armament could easily be upgraded in various ways. Two versions of the Dune Lizard were known to exist, a bulkier version and a slimmer version, both of which were popular among criminal outfits like pirates and smugglers due to the balance of power and agility the ship possessed. This ship isn't exactly a perfect fit for this list, as Mandalorians aren't the main users, but it is a Mandalorian manufactured ship and has been known to be used by them at times. Next, the Gladiator class assault fighter was another starship used by Fen Shissa and his Mandalorian protectors. We don't know much about this ship, but it was an agile craft, and it came armed with 4 laser cannons and an ion cannon. Lacking any sort of navigation technology, Gladiators would travel in packs of 4 alongside a Pursuer-class enforcement ship which would slave them for hyperspace travel. The Comer-class fighter, also known as the Gauntlet Starfighter, was a ship used by the Death Watch, a Mandalorian splinter group that opposed the pacifism of the new Mandalorians during the Clone Wars. The ship was equipped with a pair of forward and rear-mounted laser cannons for combat missions. However, the Death Watch used the fighter for transport and evacuation operations as well. The Comer class, which came in 2 models, a 68.1 meter long version and a 53.2 meter long version, had wings that could rotate around its body in flight, allowing for greater maneuverability. The Mandal Motors produced ship also featured 2 rear engines that were designed for rapid engine startup, thus another reason it could be used as an evacuation vessel. The M12L Kimogila Heavy Fighter was the heaviest snub fighter produced by Mandal Motors. This starfighter's armament included 2 heavy laser cannons, a concussion missile launcher with 12 concussion missiles, and a proton torpedo launcher. Given its mix of weaponry, the M12L could be used as either a fighter or a bomber. Despite its relative lack of speed and agility, the offensive versatility of the ship made it a popular vessel among criminal organizations, most notably the Hutt Cartel. I assume by now you're starting to take the hint that Mandal Motors didn't really care who their buyers were as long as they were getting paid. Space capitalism. Anyway, among Mandalorians, the M12L was known for being used by the Acolyte during the Mandalorian-Ithulin War in 200 BBY. The Acolyte was a group of Mandalorians who came together after the rise of the new Mandalorian government to support a continuation of the old Mandalorian warrior ways. The M22T Crate gunship was another Mandal Motor ship commissioned by the Hutts and was the biggest combat ship that Mandal Motors produced. It was a slow ship, topping out at only 800 km per hour, but was heavily armed and armored. It had 2 heavy laser cannons, 3 medium ion cannons, and a concussion missile launcher with 16 concussion missiles. As hinted at already, this ship was most often seen in the fat, slimy hands of the Hutts. Next, the Star Viper class attack platform was a heavy starfighter produced by Mandal Motors that was based on a prototype of the ship they made for the Falian Prince Zizor during the era of the Galactic Civil War. The Star Viper class attack platform featured twin heavy laser cannons and 2 proton torpedo launchers with 3 warheads each. The ship could also release buzz droids that were capable of damaging nearby aircraft, which made the ship a favorite of the Zan Consortium, which used them to deploy swarms of sabotage droids they obtained from the black market. The Mandalorians themselves used this ship during the Galactic Civil War. Then the Star Viper Mk2 was a variant of the Star Viper class attack platform. Instead of heavy laser cannons and a proton torpedo launcher, it had 4 light laser cannons, 2 light ion cannons, and also boasted heavier shielding than its predecessor. Finally, the Veerhawk fighter bomber is a ship we know little about, as it has only appeared in the novel Fate of the Jedi Vortex. What we do know is that the Veerhawk was a starfighter used by the Mandalorian protectors in 44 ABY during their siege of the New Jedi Temple. Okay, well that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're excited for some Mandalorian and other Star Wars coverage on this channel. If you like the video, please do give it a thumbs up, comment down below. Remember to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. For now, my name is American Ben, and I'll catch you next time. Generation Films, peace.